Hello everyone, Maggie here, and today I invite you to a masterclass review that will explore the Witch Sister Tarot. The masterclass review is a series of deep dive into decks, analyzing illustrations and elements used by the author to represent the arcana. This approach consists of first using my intuition and my own words, then comparing and rewriting the book's meanings again using my own words, and it's part of my methodology of studying and teaching the tarot. So we will do a walkthrough and I will tell you my first impressions and meanings when I first saw the card. And then we'll tell you the key idea of Julia that is described in her guidebook, summarized with my own words. So first, let me tell you what I did. Before checking the meanings in the book, I would experience and record my initial feelings and take on each card, okay? And as a seasonal reader, I'm already familiar with all the card meanings, so I could also use the names to anchor my understanding if I need. But I also let myself go with my first intuition, with my own words and feelings, even if they have nothing to do with the card itself. So, to describe the cards with our own words is very important, as the tarot is the mirror of our life and will only make sense to us if we use our own language, our own symbolism, sayings, and metaphors. After analyzing and writing what I saw, I read the book and wrote with my own words Julia's take on the cards. And what a transformative experience this approach is. Since I'm already familiar with Julia's work, the Tarot of the Hidden Realm being one of my favorite decks of all time, and I know that it can be challenging to work with her decks in a first glance. I even gifted my first Hidden Realm deck, only to buy it again later, of course. And guys, I really had doubts if I should be getting the Witch Sister. I took a while to buy this deck. But my love of Julia's artwork spoke louder. And even if I just got it for the artwork, it would be fine. But I can tell you beforehand, this is a magical and useful deck, and it's quickly becoming one of my favorites as well. So, let's deep dive into the magical world of the Witch Sister. First, let's take a good look at the deck's presentation. It comes in the typical Llewellyn box. As you can see here, a big box, beautiful, the guidebook. Here are the cards that I already removed. Illustrated guidebook with glossy pages. If you have Llewellyn decks, you're already familiar with that. And here are the cards. The cards, typical Llewellyn cardstock and size. I particularly like it a lot. They are not thick, they are really good to shuffle. I find it a very good tactile experience, and I take good care of my deck, so my cards last for a long time. The artwork of Julia is described as a graphic novel style art. It's very intense and expressive and beautiful. This deck here is inspired by Celtic and in especially Scottish. Julia is from Scotland, as she says on her book, and she lives there. And it is inspired in Celtic tradition, kindred spirits, and then it offers a unique and powerful interpretation. It's very different than your everyday RWS clone. So the guidebook will also tell the stories of the characters and the cards, and the deck inspires a profound sense of community and spiritual connection, witchcraft, and ancient wisdom with mythical symbolism. Getting to the meat of the video, I will do a walkthrough, and which card I'm going to tell you my first impressions, and then after Julia's meanings. First, we have here the Fool card, and you can see the very expressive eyes. My first take on this card was what my heart desires. And Julia takes was basically, listen to ourselves and don't care about what others think. Next, we have here the Magician. First thought I had was very majestic and strength. And Julia's described this card as a purpose in action, you know, like do it, go for it, which is a card of action, to do it, to have a purpose, to have a goal and do it. So this is the High Priestess, and the first thing I saw was was witch and magic. Julia's meaning was look inside for answers. So it has to do with the main meaning of the High Priestess, which is intuition. Trust your intuition. This is the Empress. To me, this is one of the facets of the Empress, which is the agent of chaos. And that's what Julia also said in her meaning, is that the Queen of Fairies, and one of the key meanings is like chaos energy that brings creativity. That's very interesting. Okay, now the Emperor. With the Emperor here, I see the Tree of Life. Like, because I studied Kabbalah for a while, and then when I saw this card, I thought about the Tree of Life. Like organization, discipline, organize things to create stability and knowledge, which is one of the core meanings of the Emperor card. And Julia's take was firm ground and security, roots and connections to all. The Hierophant. I really like this Hierophant. It shows deeply a leader in the sense of ideals, guidance, but a guidance that unified people in a tribe, and the beliefs that make us a community. This deck talks a lot about community, and this card reflects that idea a lot. Okay, so there are all the beliefs, the dogmas, the taboos, and the values that unite us as a community. A spiritual guide in that community that is going to unify and bring this knowledge to us. Julia's take on this card was basically a teacher, summarizing. I'm summarizing what she says on her book with my own words. Let's roll with it. That's also the importance of this exercise. You read the guidebook and then you write it with your own words. These lovers here, this depiction. What I see, of course, you see in the face of the lovers, you see passion. And then I can see that feeling when you know that what you want wants you. And that gives you a big and powerful self-confidence. That's a really passionate card. Another card, the Chariot here, that is it's renamed by the Flight. Beautiful, stunning card. My first impressions in this card was I thought about that song from Pink Floyd, Learning to Fly. The urge to fly that we have, the deep feeling and intention that we have to fly, to go for it. And Julia's take on this card was we got power, skill and stamina for the journey. Strength here, I think it's a traditional depict of the Strength card. I embrace and embody my wild, untamed self. And Julia's take on her book was fantastic. She basically says, do not seek war, but be ready to fight at any moment if called upon, and integrate all those parts of yourself. The Hermit, beautiful Hermit card. My thoughts was my differences will isolate me, but in my isolation, I grow wise. And Julia talks about the importance of silence, time and space for solitude, to reflect and to be in the moment. The Spinner of Threads. This shows here, to me, a more intentional take on the Wheel of Fortune, okay? Taking destiny with your own hands. Julia also describes that as fate is in our own hands, good fortune act to change our circumstances. Justice. This card is profound. The first time I saw this card, I heard this witch talking to me, looking at me and saying to me, I give you the truth, only the truth. And Julia describes it as a point of view versus the real truth, okay? To be impartial and analyze every point of view, but searching for the truth. Initiation for the Hanged Man. When I first saw this card, I thought about closing into myself and preparing for something. This is what I saw. Julia described this card as initiation rituals. So for initiation rituals, you have to do a lot of sacrifices and let go of control because the tasks are very difficult. Here we have the Death card. But immediately as memento mori, remember that you only live one life and your life is going to end, so enjoy the moment, make the best of it. And Julia explored also this theme by talking about fear and feelings around mortality. She talks also about the end of cycles, that cycles are inevitable, and to take actions in order to bring renewal to your life. Now, the Temperance. The Temperance here to me is my inner child. It's like child memories that I have when I would basically getting into my own world while conflicts outside of me would get resolved. That was a very meaningful card to me because I have a little bit of a different take on Temperance. Temperance to me is a card in which we have to deal with a lot of other people's problems and it takes a lot from us. So then this card here reminds me when I was a child and I could not do anything about it, so I would get into my own world and sort of like distract myself or maybe even dissociate, if you will. And in order to, until the conflict or the situation was over. And Julia talks about awareness in the now, to be centered and get back to myself and my priorities. And which is a take of Temperance card that I use a lot nowadays. Okay, get back to myself and my priorities. Leave the drama out there. Lord of the Forest is the devil. To me, he is in a very reflective expression. So to me, it would mean like reflecting on my own nature. This is what I thought when I saw this card. And Julia talks about to reflect that what cost our desires and excess can have on our lives. 12 stroke for the Tower. Come on, this is like one of the most beautiful and profound Tower cards I've ever seen, if not my favorite. For me, this is epiphany, realization. Once you see, once you know, you can't unsee it, and that changes everything. Julia talks about building solid foundations, as we can't control what life throws at us, but we can control how we react. Ancient starlight for the star. What I see is dream and our past. When I was brave to dream and life was an infinite possibility. Julia described it as to have the feeling that we are cared and watched for. Moonchild. To be honest, I didn't see anything on this card. Okay, I saw a child, a wild child, magic. I thought about like painting the eyes in black. That's just a joke. I'm not going to paint my cards. But if I paint the eyes in black, it's going to be sinister and scary and then would mean something. But Okay, that happens as well. It's not the end of the world. That's why we have the book and the other meanings, okay? But then Julia has a different meaning for this card than the traditional meaning, okay? So it's basically like you were ready to light up the night, connect to your magic, and be that strong, invulnerable child. We still have all the potential, and we should shake the veils that dim our light. The Sun card, not really my favorite. It's a very optimistic and positive person. Renewal or judgment card. To be honest, I didn't have much association with this judgment card. And she goes over this card just like she did in the Hidden Realm, talking about renewal, reinitiation, the land. In this card here, I see a life well lived, okay? Experience. This person here has a story to tell, and they are very passionate about telling that story, and passionate about their land and their history as well. And then it shows a lot of strength through experience. Julia's meaning is like a little similar, and she talks about like how life experience shape us, and how every time we put ourselves out there in the world wholeheartedly, we become more. Now, that was the major arcana. Let's go to the suit of wands or trees. The Ace of Wands is a hare, okay? Which for me is a symbol of fertility, vitality, and sexual desire. I see the Ace of Wands also a lot as a very sexual card, very sexual energy card. And Julia talks about like we have the muscles and energy to bring visions and plans to reality. Two of trees or two of wands, and my take is that we can't make a decision. We are stuck and we can't make a decision, even though we have all the resources for either or, but we can't make a decision. And Julia also talks about choices to be made. Stop let your thoughts chasing each other in circles. I would like to point out that in this deck, Julia uses a lot of numerology in order to give meanings to the cards. In a more, steering a little bit into the Marseille system, more than the Rider-Waite-Smith traditional symbolism. That was my little feeling about it, and how she described the cards in the book. Okay, the Three of Trees. What I see here, I see a lot of self-confidence, and I see someone being very meticulous on how they show themselves to the world, that cares a lot about their image. Julia talks about about continuity of a project and protection, like it's a card of going forward and saying that we have resources to go forward. Four Trees, another very intense card. I see a lot of conviction on this card. This card is I am what I am. I am like my ancestors. You know, when someone comes to you and say like, oh, yeah, can't help it. I'm just like my father, can't help it. My grandma was just the same, you know, like, and then you have this conviction inside of you of who you are. It's good to have conviction, and it's a lot of stability on one's being, but also not really open to change. Julia described this card in a more like a Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, which is gatherings, connection with others or within us, within our lost parts, and also become whole. Five of Trees. What I see here is basically typically a play of hide and seek, and her face here You know that feeling that you have when you're playing hide and seek and then you're running and then hiding and then you have that thrill inside of you of the escape. I really have this feeling when I saw this card. Julia described it as a time of testing, endurance, dynamics and difficulties in groups, tension and conflict, which is a typical meaning for the Five of Wands. This Six of Wands here, she's really telling me, cut the crap. But also dangerous, because if you look at her, she's a very dangerous woman. But dangerous can be very seductive and beautiful. Julia's meaning is more, it's more grounded than mine. And she talks about harvesting and enjoy fruits of our labor, acknowledge and honor the sacrifices that we made, and celebrate what we have achieved, and mix of play and pleasure. Seven of Threes. What I see here, this little girl with the skull on her head, and normally we use accessories in order to affirm our identity. She's really showing what she's standing for. Julia says is to fight with ferocity for the wild places, certainty and power to act on it. The Eight of Threes is message, like all the flowers that she has here, would be a different message, different information, and then the need that we have on filtering and collecting the information, the knowledge that serves us, not taking all the information and assume everything to be true and doing a mishmash. Just get what's important to us. That's what I got from this card. Julia talks about dedication, knowledge, working steadily with purpose. Nine of Wands, beautiful, stunning, powerful Nine of Wands. Immediately when I saw this card, I remember a quote from a book of Sidney Sheldon, If Tomorrow Comes, when Tracy says, "I face my enemies naked and my courage is my shield." End of a cycle, fulfillment, we gave all, we didn't stop for fear. And it's the culmination of our efforts. 10 of Trees. Since the 10 of Wands is a card of burden, I see here the burden of being wise and knowing about life and experiences. Julia's take on it is, it's a situation that is ending, the need to let go and endure and live to fight another day. The court cards in this deck are fantastic. They gave me so many insights. This card here is the Maid of Trees, or the Page of Wands. Child, but her hands are like a little too big to being a child. So like, you know, when you are an early teen and then like the parts of your body start growing disproportionately for a while until you get proportional again. Of a precocious card, of a child that's already wanting and believing already to be a woman, pretending to be a woman. And Julia's take on this card is person as being a careful and swiftest apprentice, eager to learn, diligent, dedication found in pleasure. It's traditionally the Knight of Wands, and I really thought, like, my job is not pretty, but someone has to do it. Dress up for the job you want. And Julia's description is more like a vixen, a huntress, a warrior, single-minded, cunning, ability to adapt, and swift. Great description for a beautiful card. Now, this one here is the Queen of Wands. And this card, this person, this character in this, it's a little unnerving, but I love it. I love unnerving cards. Card was like shape-shifting, a hint of madness, and a wild creature. And Julia talks about the sensual fire nature of the Queen, the strength and abundant energy, vitality, sexuality, fertility, and seduction. If you can see seduction here in this card. Yeah, I cannot really see, but let's roll with it. The King of Threes. This is the King of Wands. And to me, the King of Wands talks a lot about embodying your power. Parade your ranking. That you have the horns here that are very... Stand tall and straight with your shoulders back. That confident attitude and knowing your rank and then stating your rank with your body language. And Julia talks about embodying the land, natural nobility, radiant self-assurance, a deep sense of belonging, a confident and capable person, instinctive response to take charge. I had an aha moment for the description. However, there is a pet peeve on this king, okay? Since he is wild and then he has all these characteristics, he can't be tied down. So this guy here is not really going to commit. Let's dive into the Suit of Cups. Rejuvenation and healing. Julia describes it as a card of peace and calm before transformation. And it's an omen that something beautiful will be created. She also talks about transcendent powers and spells and potions. After all, it's a witch deck. Clear card of projection. It's a way of love yourself in the other. See and feel yourself through the lover's eyes, which gives you a feeling of confidence and self-love as well. It's not really a very mature love. Didn't see too much in this card. Julia describes it as salmon, cycles, journey, and the sacrifice that we do for family and deep current feelings between people that are intimately connected. Strength and singleness of purpose in most difficult circumstances. Blood is thicker than water. Food for thought. Four of Water, Four of Cups. What I see is more like contemplation and apathy or longing. What Julia described this card is more about lineage, homecoming, belonging, roles that we have in the tribe. Again, remember that this deck talks a lot about community and tribe. She also talks about what traditions and skills are we helping to keep alive. Five of Waters. This woman here, for me, she's doing a banishing spell, sending away, cursing something. Julia descriptions talk more about like fighting our way through a storm. We are our worst judge. We judge ourselves too much. I also thought about like, summon the power of the storm and use it. Six of Waters. She's from the sea, but she's now on land. But she still brings the sea with her. Her nature, her past, her memory. She brings that all with her with this seaweed on her hair. Julia, on the other hand, talks about the dark glamour of a siren, a magnetic person in our life, attraction, enchantment, shape-shifting, dynamic energy with wisdom and experience, to be wrapped and pulled down, deep. Seven of Waters. You see what you want to see. This is what I saw in this card. And I also thought about the faceless man in the Game of Thrones. If you remember that character of the guy that was teaching Arya, just looked like the guy. Can't unseen this. Julia talks about challenge that we have overcome, can also be unstoppable with allies. Eight of Waters. What I see here is a person leaving the situation. I saw this king here being a little hurt. So leaving a situation also without telling others, because you see here the other animals here, they are playing, and then like she's just like living quietly without saying bye, focusing on your own interest. This situation, since she has this skin rash, is not good anymore. So focus on your own interest and leave. and you don't have to tell anyone. Nine of Waters, the Celtic mirror, which is a very magic and potent talisman. And she talks about like that is a time for seclusion. Dive within, look further and go deeper. Ten of Waters. What I see here, I see love, wisdom, caring, satisfaction being shared with beloved ones. Self-confidence of a life well lived. The woman power to transform. And the woman has always the power to transform everything that is given to us. It's a very beautiful card. Maid of Waters, the page. Discovering through playing, being dreamy, imaginative, discovering and enjoying new feelings. Julia describes it as a lost for a moment in pure delight. A person to help us, a kind, childlike person that will come to help us, or the need to be more playful. It also talks a lot about simple pleasures. Witch of Waters, or the Knight of Cups. I see a lot of inspiration in this card, and Julia talks about seduction, beauty, love, and arts. The Queen of Waters, or the Queen of Cups. Usually I see a lot of mirroring in the Queen of Cups, and you cannot really grasp her essence, and as she's always mirroring people and situation around her. The King of Waters, a very mature, a healer, a man that's taking good care of the people that he loves. Let's go to the Suit of Swords. When I see the Crow in cards, sometimes I think about a bad omen, sometimes conflict, and sometimes I see magic and mystery. And Julia talks about clarity in this card, and inner vision, and magic as well, like the sacred crow can travel between the realms of the living and the dead. Two of Swords, or Two of Skies. Oh, the sweet taste of denial. We have a dilemma. Dilemma is a problem with two solutions, but none of them is satisfying. I don't want and won't go make a decision. Don't want to look at it. I want to stay in denial. That's what I see in this card. That's what I see in all the Two of Swords, and this is one of my favorite Two of Swords. Look how beautiful it is, and look how they interlace with each other. They close their eyes, they close to everything. Julia's take in the cards is challenging communication, use empathy and common interests, use imagination and see through other people's eyes to break the barrier and connect. Three of Swords. This is the card of the broken heart. I don't really see a broken heart in this card. And Julia talks about how other people can throw their disapproval, or even ourselves can throw disapproval and condemnation on us. We are not good enough, and we are not welcome enough. That's what she talks about. Four of Skies. What I see here is small but strong. Protection and responsibility as an instinct. Nurture and care time. Just to find a true home, to feel at home, nurture it and protect it. How high can you fly when you feel that? 5. Disruption, angry, bullying. The 5 of Swords to me is a card of bullying. A bad omen as well, and to be careful with dangerous people. Julia talks about not knowing what to do with the great power that a person can suddenly have. And unforeseen change leave us paralyzed. 6. What I see here, the person is in a forest, and I thought about like how inspiring a forest can be because of the unknown, mystery, and dangers. Transformation through new ideas, inspiration, new point of view. And Julia talks about visiting spirits, union, harmony, healing in relationships, sensitivity, and empathy. The 7. This for me is a sacred dance, embodying and expressing one's true self. Julia describes it as a flight, a breakthrough. She talks about using substances in order to create the altered state of minds, but says that it's also possible to achieve that through meditation, visualization, and having nature moments like walking to nature and the moments of revelation. 8 of Sky, beautiful card. A warrior, a fighter. You can see here the rage and also some innate skills. I thought about some innate skills with the feathers and everything like that. Julia will talk about how grief can get us into an anger state and define our actions and personality. Suffering and strife is not all. Get back to your true self. This is a very powerful idea. Here, the 9 of Skies. I saw her big eyes here. This person has a big eyes. And I thought of attention and fear. The owl here, for me, it's a warning. It's just screaming, it's a warning. And the thorns around her means dangerous, being hurt, stuck, entangled into painful situations. And Julia talks about the resistance that life throws at us for what we want, our vision. She talks about obstacles that make us feel powerless. We want something, but we are entangled with a bunch of other interferences, like you can see in the thorns here. Finally, the 10 of Swords, the 10 of Skies, and I see a lot of resentment on this woman's face. Resentment, loss, injustice. I see like, when they look and then they cannot say much, they cannot do anything, they are powerless. And you can see a lot of resentment and injustice in their eyes, helplessness, a ton of humiliation as well. This is what I see. Very expressive and deep, this card. And Julia talks about how time will write its story upon us, carving our faces, body and mind. We have experienced sorrow, grief, and we learn. The page, here the page, here we see the arrogance of youth, the defiance look, that attitude of I know it all, rebellious, argumentative. Julia described this page as abundant and natural gifts and great potential. Sureness, bright, but might try to fly too high, too soon. Witch of Skies. This for me is the John Dark card. A vision, a purpose that is bigger than me. I will fight for an ideal. I will fight for an ideal blindly. Julian's description is a seer, a magic, sensitive to the environment, very sensitive to the environment, thus ready to act, sometimes without thinking twice. The Queen of Skies, one of the most beautiful queens I've ever seen. Here I see a lot of love but pain. And this queen here, she's wise but by bad experience. She knows what has to be done, and she makes no popular choices, but those are right choices. She is keen in intelligence. She acts by reason. She is beautiful and she is a leader. And Julia described this as a person that's quick to what has to be done. She has expertise, resourcefulness, is a survival. She has vision and imagination without boundaries. She has seen it all, survive many kings and battles. The king. This king here for me is true, it's pure, it's strategy, he's a calculist, and is a person that truly believes that ends justify the methods. Julia described him as a charismatic, magnetic character. He sees all. He's a natural authority. He really has self-reliance. He does not seek conflict, but he's always ready for it. Ace of Stones. We have a snake in the Ace of Stones. I could not make sense of that, so I went straight to the book. And Julia talks about what's ancient and primal within us, a gift, a rebirth, wealth, and healing. So I need to be courageous and take the risk to grasp our gift. Two of Pentacles here. It's a calling to get your mind, all parts of your mind, the chatter, the monkey, all parts of your mind, and your body to focus in one task. Because these two figures here, to me, is just one person. So, you know, like you get your body and your mind and then put everything together and focus in one task, finishing one task. Get it done and get it done right. And Julia talks about questions of direction, inward or outward. And be grounded to succeed, and the beginning of a journey. The 3, I see here offerings and exchange. And then Julia talks about work. Do the basics in your work, right? Create a good foundation with care. Very important. The 4 of Pentacles, I see here the protection, care, and the archetype of the ferocious mother, the home, the power, and the routine. And Julia says, like, we are exactly where we need to be. We belong here. It shows a strong position and support, the strength that having a home and a good foundation is. 5 of Stones. That girl again, look at her. What I see like the spoils of war, cunning and strategy are in disadvantage. Think about the Vlad, the Impaler. Okay, so he was in disadvantage, so he used a lot of cunning and strategy in order to scare his enemies. That's a little bit what I saw in this card. And Julia described it as unavoidable conflict and pain, sufferings, ordeal, and trials. 6 of Stones. Okay, to me, the 6 of Pentacles is the breadcrumb and the begging card. This to me is how we look like when we are begging, and this is not a pretty view. We repel and recoil from beggars most of the times, if you understand that feeling. Julia described it as a feeling of a strong connection, a powerful encounter, and steer passions. I don't see that strong connection in this card. I see the beggar. 7. This is the card of a fortune teller. Finding the answer to an important question with significant consequences. This is a card of divination. It's also a card of fertile ground. 8. Dress to impress. Dress to the job. Again, the staff means that is a hard job, is a hard path. You can see in this card the determination and skills that this person has. And it's a very earthy work. Card means a very stable and nourishing work environment. And fortitude and stamina combined with the intuition and vision. And she talks about endurance. 9 of Stones. Didn't see much in this card either. And Julia says that this card talks about the talisman of protection and luck. We work hard to create. We need the reassurance and feeling of protection. This is a beautiful card. To me, this card is about ancestrality, inheritance, and also family culture. Julia described this as the elder of the tribe. This card is a call to remember the help we receive, and in gratitude also help as we go forward. The Maid of Stones. To hold dear what is important to us, the strength of the innocence beliefs of youth. This is a patient soul, steadiness of purpose, fascinated with the world. This page here, do not rush, according to Julia. It's a little childish, but it's a hard study. has a constant heart, and is a loyal friend. The Witch of Stones, really beautiful. I see a lot of feminine power in this card, all the senses and connection with the body. Julia talks about the serpent dancer and completion, complete and dedicate to a task. The Queen of Stones, a lot of embodiment, glamour, magic. Julia described her as a force of nature, a catalyst for action, for growth, and to forge connections. Finally, our last card, the King of Pentacles. This king here shows us a natural authority without fighting. He fought back in the past, but not now anymore. Very generous with his time and attention, and also wishing to pass on the skills and customs that have served him well to the next generation. This was the Witch Sister Masterclass review. Let me know in the comments what you think about this deck, and if you want to follow this series, just subscribe to the channel. Big kiss to all and see you next video. Bye!